Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our next live interview from Singapore. For those of you who follow our Facebook page, I'm here with Dr. Vannarith Chheang, who just gave an insightful lecture about social innovation for development by looking at different cases all across Southeast Asia. And we're now here to do another interview, which you can follow online. So I'll start off with a comment that I wrote down during the lecture, because I really liked how at the beginning you said that it's not GDP growth that should be the prime measurement or the prime factor for development, but it should be social, political, and economic systems that promote human dignity, respect, and freedom. Now, my question in regard to that comment is, how do you promote happiness and well-being in a capitalistic world system and world order?
I think our development model has a problem, and we need to have a paradigm shift in our thinking and implementing development strategies. In a capitalist system, they give more emphasis, focus on a market-driven economy, profit-driven economy, which most of the cases neglects social well-being. That's why it's the main root cause that leads to the inequality, a widening development gap between the rich and poor, because those who succeed, those who make use of the system, they are at the top. And those who are unable, are not power to get benefit from the capitalist system, they are left behind. So that is not a fair and inclusive development model. So that's why we need to have a strategy to distribute wealth in a fair and just manner by building an ecosystem, political, economic, social system that enable and empower every individual to realize their potential, to be recognized as a human being, a human dignity, freedom of choice, and respect. Because as a human being, you just need to be recognized as a human being with dignity.
So you also mentioned in your lecture that politics craves stability. However, that stability becomes stagnancy, which then eventually stifles innovation. And you criticize that process. But my question to you is, how would you change that process, or what other way of going on about that would you propose from your research?
In any organization, when it grows bigger and bigger, bureaucracy becomes a problem, especially in a state institutions, that bureaucrats and politicians try to create more and more mechanisms, more and more agencies, but with the lack of coordination and impact-driven motivations. Because by creating multi-layers mechanism organizations, you can strengthen your power, right? And then you create this kind of hierarchical structures. So this kind of hierarchical structure of power, you can empower and enable innovative ideas. Because from the grassroots level to the top, you need to go through many layers. And every layer, you kill innovations. So that is a problem of a bureaucratic system. When it becomes too big, it's less innovation. It doesn't have a policy that reflects the real social needs. So that is the problem we are facing. That's why we need to have public sector innovations, because innovation is not in the private sector, it's not in the social sector, but also public sector. Public sector itself need to have innovation, and it need to have a decentralizations. Too big organization, it's a disaster when it comes to innovation. So you need to decentralize it, give space and authority to those small units. Encourage them to have more innovative ideas, and don't waste so much resources on keep recruiting public servants to serve in a public office which do not deliver concrete results and doesn't serve the common purpose of the society. So rather reduce the public bureaucracy and empower small unit to deliver results to the people.
Okay, but that would then be a counter argument to globalization and to globalized multiple multinational companies who are everywhere, who, as you said, spend a lot of money on hiring forces from all around the world, and who look at centralizing as much as possible, because as you said, that gives you lines of authority and lines of power. So in that regard, are you also against globalization in that aspect, that it kills innovation because it creates these monstrous companies who are everywhere and who kill innovation at every level?
No, I'm very supportive of globalization.
Mm-hmm.
Globalization is irreversible trend. You need to live with it and make use of it.
Yeah.
In aspect, it's human mobility and knowledge transmission from one community to another. That is very positive. Multinational company is just one of the actor in this globalization process. So we cannot equate globalization to the multinational companies. It's just one of the actor. And this multinational company, I think they started to realize that centralization doesn't serve their long-term interest.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them started localizations, especially in the context of this fragmented and fractured world. So they need to localize their productions, localize their services, delivery, and so on. So I think this is a trend that for the multinational company to remain competitive and innovative, they need to decentralize and allow a small unit to be more innovative, to create more small unit to be more innovative. Because multinational company, you need to understand the local market. You need to stay closer to the local markets and needs. What the society, in different society, they have different needs. So by decentralizing the production and services, you can meet better the customer at the local level. That will be more sustainable and long-term.
Okay, so with that thought in mind, and going back to your lecture, which focused a lot on social innovation and how it itself is a tool for development, how do you imagine the best possible or the perfect society?
As I said, human beings want to be recognized as a human being. We want to have our dignity, respect, and choice. So social innovation is a means to help people to meet that visions of addressing social needs and demands, and to enable people to be recognized and to have people to have more choices and so on. And this social innovation is a process. It's a means that everyone can be part of it, because it is more of it's a bottom-up approach. It started with the local community. It started with local knowledge and the solution to the local problems. But what we are missing is how can we connect this local knowledge across the globe. We have knowledge existing there, but we need to have a mechanism to connect those knowledge to multiply and scale up the impacts of the knowledge and solution that each community has. So social innovation is the way to connect this local knowledge at the regional, national, regional, and global level, so that the impact can be scaled up.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of topics in this short interview. We've spoken about the private sector, the public sector. We've spoken that innovation being killed by bureaucracy. So if we take all that in mind, or keep all that in mind, how do we actually get state and private companies to consider social development and not just economic development, especially if we compare certain companies which nowadays have much more money at hand than individual countries? So how do we solve that big discrepancy and that big injustice and imbalance?
I think for the private sector, they need to have a purpose in their business missions.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose is not to earn money and increase profit all the time, but to serve the societies.
Mm-hmm.
They need to revise their business model and transform it to be a social purpose business model, so that their company will be sustainable, will be long term.
Mm-hmm.
Because any companies could exist for a long term. They know how to serve society. So that is the strategy. I think the future of the private sector need to embrace is a social driven with a purpose. So company with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So look at the evolution of startups around the world. That is give us some hope that these startups can provide better solution to social problems. Mm-hmm. Because these startups are small scale. They are not constrained by bureaucracy.
They're highly innovative.
And highly innovative. So why don't big firms or a public institution invest more in the startups? Mm-hmm. Give more opportunity to them, empowering them through finance, because they need capital. This startup, they have idea, but they don't have access to capital. Mm-hmm. So give them capital and build partnership with them. I think this is the future of the industry that I think the private sector and public sector and the local community can work together in partnership to harness this knowledge, technology, and connectivity that we are trying to promote now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Chheang, it was an absolute honor to have you as our guest, and I'm very thankful for this interesting conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.